So, what is organizational behavior? Well, organizational behavior is a city drawing. Let me explain. They're both pretty straightforward, right? Organizational behavior is behavior within organizations, and a city drawing is a drawing of a city. But it is more than that. And to understand how it is more than that, first you've got to look at the levels. Organizational behavior works across levels: individuals, groups and teams, and the organization as a whole. And with the city drawing, you've got levels as well: individual buildings, neighborhoods, but the entirety of the drawing. With organizational behavior and a city drawing, the levels matter in terms of a singular goal. The goal of organizational behavior is to boost performance, while the goal of a city drawing is a singular piece of art. It's not just a bunch of buildings, and it's not just a bunch of people behaving in a company. The thing about organizational behavior is that it is a field contributed to and inspired by other fields. You see sociology, psychology, economics, communication, all these other fields. But the fact of the matter is, it is a distinct field of its own. Well, a city drawing is many other drawings. You've got buildings, trees, landscapes, clouds, and you've got people, but it is a distinct drawing of its own. And like with this particular drawing that you're seeing now, organizational behavior is distinct yet borderless. It's ready to grow. It's open for more, just like this city drawing. So how did we get here? Let's look at the processes of organizational behavior, whether you're a researcher or a practitioner, because it's pretty similar to the processes of a city drawing. First, you start with an idea. I want to draw a city. I want to boost performance. Well, now that you got your idea, you need to start brainstorming. And to brainstorm, you need some references. References can be things that you have already drawn, or they can be things that other people have drawn. This is kind of like your literature review. You're looking at all the existing research. Whether you're a researcher or a consultant, you need to look at some of the things that other people have done, some of the things that you have done. This previous research, these previously used and validated workshops and interventions, these are your drawing references. This is part of your brainstorming. You're generating ideas on how to boost performance. You're generating ideas on how to draw a city. And once you've got your ideas and your brainstorming is done, it's time to start building. Whether it's research, application, or drawing, you've got to start building the project. You start with the initial idea and you sketch out some shapes of the drawing. You set the parameters of the project. You start sketching it out with a little bit more detail. You put in the actual buildings. You start applying constructs and theories to your idea. And this step is very important for organizational behavior, because you start connecting things. You start building in the bridges, the stairways, the pathways, because these are your moderators and these are your mediators. You've got your variables. I want to draw a city on top of a cliff. But how are we connecting these things? How are we connecting these constructs, and how are we connecting these buildings? How are we strengthening and predicting our outcomes? These buildings, they are the individual concepts and constructs like burnout, stress, intrinsic motivation, energy and engagement, creativity and voice. These are the individual buildings, but as singular constructs, they're not as important as when they are connected to the other constructs. It is the connections that matters, like promotive voice being connected to creativity, which leads to improved job performance. It's not just about voice, it's not just about creativity, it's about the connection. How are the buildings connecting to each other? These constructs are connecting to other constructs for the goal of boosting organizational performance. The buildings are connecting to other buildings for the goal of creating a city. And now that you've got your connections figured out, the parameters of your study, it's time to get to work. And the first step is identifying your tools. My tools are my pens. I know which pens I'm going to be using, and I know what I'm going to be using them for. In organizational behavior, whether it's as a researcher or a practitioner, your tools are your measures. They're the surveys, the instruments, the interview questions, the questionnaires. Once you've identified your tools, it's time to start applying them. I apply my pens to the paper and start building my city. I apply my measures to the organization and I start building my data. I build and I build and I build and I build and I build some more. But I need to zoom out. I don't want to get lost in the details. I need to keep an eye on the bigger picture. I have to keep an eye on the organization as a whole. Am I studying what I'm actually set out to study? Am I building this aspect of the organization in a way that actually contributes to the performance? Or am I just here doing things for the sake of doing things? I have to keep sight of these things. They're important. Organizational behavior is about connections. A city is about connections. So I zoom out. Everything looks good. But let's get back to work. Let's talk to this person. Let's talk to that person. Let's use this measure. Let's grab some data here. Interview there. Let's see what happens with voice. Let's see what happens with creativity when we boost promotive voice. See if it's having the effect that we are hoping for. We zoom back out. Now I start to assess. I've got all my data. I've built my city. What do I see in this? Is it what I was hypothesizing? Were my ideas validated? Did promotive voice actually contribute to creativity and team performance? Did putting this shadow here behind this building actually make the other one stand out the way that I intended to? And with this drawing, the answer is no. Well, this is my analysis. I've taken the step back, I've analyzed the data, and now I'm formulating my conclusions, and I need to write them up. I need to publish them. I need to disseminate them. If it's a research study, I seek out a journal to submit to. If I've been hired by an organization, I write the report and I deliver it to the stakeholders. For me as an artist, with my finished drawing, publishing means posting. I post to Instagram and I post to TikTok. We publish the work. We have to disseminate it. That's why organizational behavior is a distinct field that is also ready to grow, because we're here to do the work and we're here to share the work. Sometimes the final product aligns with the brainstorm. That would be significant results. And sometimes the final product just does not look right. I have statistically insignificant results with this city drawing, but that's okay. Whether or not your results are strong or weak, we share, because that's how we grow the field of organizational behavior. It's about starting with an idea like boosting job performance or creating a cityscape, and then brainstorming it using references, whether it's your own work or the work of colleagues in your cohorts. And then you start connecting constructs with mediators and moderators, the bridges, the stairways, the tunnels. You can't just look at one level, you have to look at all of them. The individuals, the teams, the whole organization, the buildings, the neighborhoods, the whole city. So yes, organizational behavior is behavior within organizations. Yes, the drawing of a city is a city drawing, but it is more complex than that because of the connections, because of the levels, because of the outside influences, and because of its own distinct existence. Yes, organizational behavior is an everlasting mission to boost job performance, but it's more than that. The drawing of a city is an everlasting construction of buildings, but it is more than that. It is a place where people live. It is a place where people exist. It is a place where people experience, and it is a place where people connect. And that's where drawings and organizational behaviors are the same. It's all about the connections.